My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for choosing us. Some public sector workers, including health workers in the Bawku municipality, are said to be leaving the town amid fears in the wake of the renewed gun battles in the town, leaving 6 people dead. Issa Awinguda Sule is the Upper East Regional PRO of the Union of Professional Nurses and Midwives, Ghana. He's joined us now for more. Issa, what's the situation in Bawku as we speak? Hello, Issa. Right, we'll try and get Issa back to tell us the situation in Bawku as we speak. But what we're hearing that people are fleeing the town. It's almost a ghost town since the death of some 6 people as a result of the clash in that town. And back here in Accra, pressure group Justice for Ghana is picketing the precincts of Parliament to force parliamentarians to reject some tax measures and allocations in the 2023 budget. Key among the concerns is a proposed 2.5% hike in the VAT rate, review of the e-levy, and an allocation of 80 million cedis to fund the construction of the controversial National Cathedral. We'll bring you more when we get our parliamentary correspondent, Kwekwa Sante, for more. Let's go back to Bawku and speak with Issa, who will be telling us the situation in that town now. Issa, what is the situation right now in Bawku as we speak? Hello, Issa. If you can hear me, bring us up to speed how the Bawku township is looking like right now.
Well, Bawku town as of now, it's more or less looking like a ghost town because Bawku, as we know, usually is a busy town, but as it stands now, you can see from street to street. So people are actually, they are living in fear. They are finding it difficult in coming out.
What are authorities saying? I mean, since this whole thing started, there's been meetings upon meetings. MCE, the Regional Security Council, has there been any resolution yet?
Well, there have been attempts into getting peace into Bawku as we speak now, but none of the solutions have turned out to be fatal.
So, what do you want done about this situation? I mean, living there, I'm sure you're also worried about the situation.
Yes, we are healthcare professionals. And speaking from the point of view of health professionals, I think it is affecting us in a lot of ways. For instance, health professionals in the municipality are living in fear. We are living in fear because nurses and midwives, they find it difficult to move on with their daily activities. For instance, once a nurse is supposed to go for a night shift, the nurse finds it difficult to go for his or her shift because of the fact that, yes, a stray bullet can hit him or her at any point. So living in Bawku currently as health professionals is very, very difficult. And besides, our means of transport, which used to be the motorbikes, has now been excluded. The only way now is by the Mahama can do, as we call it in Bawku municipality here. Then it increases our cost of living as health professionals in Bawku municipality because they have increased the fares. They've increased the fares of Kandus because motorbikes are banned. So the only means now is Kandu. So we are spending a lot actually on transport.
All right, Issa is a health worker in the Bawku municipality. He's been explaining that the whole town is becoming a ghost town, and he says there has still not been any resolution to the issue. He says that there are issues with their transportation. They've had to spend more with transportation, and he wants the issue resolved immediately. Back here in Accra, a few days after consumer inflation rose to a 27-year high of 50.4%, producer inflation has also followed with a rate about 78%. Wholesale prices from manufactured food products plus pharmaceuticals have been spotted as part of the key drivers of this historic rate. Anthony Kakra is head of industrial statistics, and he joins us via Zoom to understand what is happening. I want you to help us to understand the difference between the consumer and a producer inflation.
All right, so the producer inflation measures inflation from the perspective of the producer, whilst that of the consumer measures inflation from the perspective of all consumers.
Hello, Mr. Kakra. All right, so Mr. Kakra is head of the inflation statistics at the Ghana Statistical Service. Is trying to explain to us what this latest figures mean. Mr. Kakra, thanks for coming back. You were trying to explain to us what the difference is between the two.
Okay, so the consumer producer price inflation measures inflation in ex-factory prices. So it is inflation in the producer prices, that's the prices at which prices received by producers, and it excludes taxes and distribution costs. Whilst the consumer price, before these products get to the market, transport costs and all that have to be added, and then margins, the profit of retailers have to be added. And so at the consumer end, that's the retailer's end, that's where the consumer price measures, whilst the producer price inflation measures only at the producer's perspective.
Let's look at what the drivers are, the drivers of these new rates. What are the key drivers?
So basically, currently, as we speak, and as you rightly said, producer price inflation is 78.1%, which means that comparing a year ago, the producer prices, ex-factory prices have increased by 78% over 1 year now, November to this year to November last year. And it has mainly got the increase and depreciation of the cedi we witnessed in November. And so you notice that mining and quarrying went up about 115%, manufacturing about 84%, and electricity and gas about 34%. So clearly, and transportation and storage were mostly directly affected by the increase in fuel prices and all that in November. That went about 87%. So clearly, we note that the depreciation of the cedi was one of the main factors that affected the ex-factory prices to shoot up to about 78% from the 65.2% that we recorded in October this year.
What does this mean to December's inflation? Does it give any signal how the year will end in terms of inflation?
Yes, we have also had a note that the cedi has begun to appreciate quite recently. Cedi is appreciating against the dollar. And so we expect that, yes, though we may have some high levels, but maybe it may come down a little bit around below 78%, as you see now, if the cedi continues to appreciate. And so with the appreciation, if the currency depreciation, as I noted earlier, was one of the key factors, then as the cedi appreciates, we expect that this may, the rate at which the prices are increasing may slow down a little bit, though it may be high. But the rates may not be. We do not expect that it will go beyond the 78% in December.
Mr. Anthony Kako, I'm grateful for your time. He is with the Ghana Statistical Service and he's been trying to break it down for us, the latest producer price inflation figures. Now, pressure group Justice for Ghana is picketing at the precincts of Parliament to force parliamentarians to reject some tax measures and allocations in the 2023 budget. Key among their concerns is the proposed 2.5 hike in the VAT rate, review of the e-levy, and an allocation of 80 million cedis to fund the construction of the controversial National Cathedral. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Gwekwa Sante spoke with some protesters earlier.
They say that they are against some of the revenue measures that President Akufo-Addo, through the finance minister, has introduced in the 2023 budget. Just behind me, you see some of the protesters coming from the National Cathedral site where they have been. They are also against that 80 million Ghana cedis allocation that has been made for the construction of that controversial facility. And so they went there first with some Ghana chiefs. They tell me, and they are now heading here. Mr. Bernard Mona is here. If I can just have a word with one of the leaders of Justice for Ghana, Mr. Bernard Mona. I can see some heavy police presence here. Mr. Mona, what is this all about? You have parliamentarians in there who have promised to do your job for you. Why do you need to pick it?
Thank you very much. As you can see, and I'm sure that you yourself went through some difficulties this morning because of the kind of economic policy measures that President Akufo-Addo, through the Minister for Finance, has implemented. These things have led to a suffocation of the life of the people of Ghana. Majority of us cannot just make ends meet. And so it is important to come to Parliament House and to indicate to Parliament that what they are supporting the government to do is unthinkable and unacceptable. See, first let's start from the National Cathedral. Some ones of us don't believe in the church. Some ones of us don't believe in the mosque. Some of us go and then we make libations. To the extent that our state, the president will lie that this thing is just to provide an avenue for the church to make contribution, and all of a sudden we see that the state is doling out chunk of our resources to the church or for the construction of the church. Simply means that God himself will not accept this proposal.
But already at the committee level, the National Cathedral has been defeated by 11 to 10. It is set to come to the floor. If the minority carry through when they are trying to reject it, it will be rejected.
We cannot just say that our prime land has been wasted. This land has been given to the state by the people of Ghana. If you have no use of that land, all you have to do is to give it back to the people of the Ghana people so that they will determine what they want to use their land for. You have just taken it away. As I speak to you, individuals whose assets were on that property are today in court challenging the Lands Commission to bring back. You know the case of the water gate, and then the petition. We speak to you now. The government of Ghana told us that we either accept electronic transfer levies or we go to the IMF. Today, we have accepted electronic transfer levies and we are at the IMF.
Have you spoken to MPs and have they given you their word that they are going to reject this, that they are going to fight this?
We don't know whether we should speak to the MPs because at some point in time we feel actually let down by our MPs. These same MPs were the ones who were on the floor of Parliament, moved the motion of censure, doubting the capacity of the Minister for Finance. The motion was referred to a committee. The committee had not come out with the report. And the same person whose capacity you were doubting had to come and stand before you and present a budget statement, and you sat in.
Well, that is the majority side. The minority side were able to push through.
No, the minority sat through the budget reading.
Well, they said there were salaries that had to be paid. That has to be in the budget.
Is it the minority that are paying the budget? When Ken Ofo-Addo did not reach the budget in 2021, where salaries not paid, somebody else read it.
But that is the decision of the president, not the minority or MP.
Once you were questioning the capacity of the Minister for Finance, for which reason you tabled a motion of censure, it means that that person was not qualified to come and stand before you to present.
7 more districts in the Ashanti region have been invaded by illegal miners despite increased efforts to stop the menace. Out of the 43 districts in the region, 25 are now affected by galamsey. The Regional Security Council has increased surveillance to prevent the threat from spreading to new places. Nanaya Jima filed this report.
A visit of the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Abujinapo, to some affected areas in the Amansia district in September this year revealed deep pits opened all over a vast area. The phenomenon, despite renewed operations to stop illegal miners, has continued with more acres of land being destroyed. Some miners sit in rivers and water bodies to perpetrate the illegality. Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah addressed a meeting of the Regional Coordinating Council.
The galamsey fight in the region has not yet been won and still is rather expanding. Previously, we could count about 18 districts in the Ashanti region where galamsey is practiced. Unfortunately, now the number has gone up to 25 districts out of the 43. And we need to take this one seriously.
Already, the Regional Coordinating Council, through its enhanced surveillance, has stopped the spread of the activity to the Efija-Kwabre district. The effort to fight the menace is, however, hindered by financing.
Sometimes people don't know that water issues are also security issues. So what we need to do is to take drastic measures to ensure that we can minimize the issues of galamsey menace within the region. I've always suggested that on the river bodies, I think we can take the fight from the source of the river up to where it either joins the sea or the confluence of another river body. Constant thrashing of these people, that will help solve the problem. But sometimes you have logistical problems. At times you need even money, you want the military to move, you don't have the resources to support the military. So these are all challenges that we are facing. But I know the ministry is doing its best. Quite often they also send people from Accra to also come and work on them. We will do our best to bring the menace down.
Meanwhile, the minister has endorsed the Asante-Hene's call to hold traditional authorities accountable for illegal mining in their jurisdictions.
But most importantly, the statement by Otumfuo Seitu the second, the Asante-Hene recently during the Regional House of Chiefs meeting for which I attended, is a strong signal to all the chiefs, and if well implemented, it will help bring the menace down significantly, because there's no area where we don't have a chief. And then Otumfuo is also saying that if we find galamsey in your area, it means you are part. So Otumfuo invite you to Menshia and then question you, interrogate you about why you still have galamsey in your area. Because as he put it, if somebody had come to encroach on your land, definitely you have reported the case. So if you find illegal miners on your land, why don't you report?
The Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council is strategizing to improve performance in the coming year. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Government is giving assurances that it has gotten access to some cheaper sources of fuel for the country to further ease the pressure on Ghanaians. According to Deputy Energy Minister Andrew Japamesa, the first batch of fuel from these sources will arrive in the country between January 11 and 12, 2023. He spoke on the AM show on JoyNews channel.
We've gone a long way.
Okay.
And indeed, His Excellency the President only last week mentioned as part of the conversations that have led to the decline of the dollar, the gold for oil program that we've announced. On the 10th, 11th, 12th of January, the first consignment of finished products is going to arrive in this country as part of the...
Coming from where?
Oh, from the United Arab Emirates.
From the UAE?
Yes.
Between the 10th and the when?
11th, 12th January.
Of January. So let's say between the 10th and the 12th of January.
All the necessary agreements that needed to be executed has been executed. A lot more interest have been shown by other oil traders. My colleague, Honorable Amin Anta, returned from Morocco only yesterday. Signed an agreement with I do not recall the name of the company, but it's a JV between
joint venture.
Yeah, that company, JV between Enoch and the Moroccan oil company. They have also signed on for the swap arrangement for oil and gold.
So is this a G to G, government to government engagement?
G2B, okay. Government to business.
Government to business.
Yeah. Okay, and that's G2G conversations have also taken place. The surprise for me is the very moment that an announcement is made, then everybody expects that the next day you see it translated into action. But as with most programs, it's not an event. Okay, but you need to communicate so people know exactly what it is that government is doing. Okay, to give them comfort that it is not as if your leaders are sleeping on the job, but they are working to roll out a system program that would ensure that there's some complementary, not substitute. It's, for me, it's very significant that we drive home that point, that whatever it is that government is doing is intended to complement what it is that the private sector, who are operators within the space, are providing.
Andrea Japamesa revealed that efforts are being put in place to turn the struggling Tema oil refinery into a functioning refinery by early next year. The 10th of December marks the end of this year's United Nations 16 Days of Activism Against Sexual and Gender-Based Violence. This year's theme, Unite Activism to End Violence Against Women and Girls, called on activists everywhere to continue to push forward against the pushback on women's rights. But exactly how strong is the pushback when justice is being sought for victims of sexual and gender-based violence? Today, we have a classic example in the following feature as JoyNews' Upper East Region correspondent Albert Sorry partners with human rights NGO Rise Ghana to shed light on the plight of a woman whose daughter was raped by an important man in society. But the woman has given up on pursuing justice and does not even want her daughter's alleged rapist to go to jail for fear that her family will suffer scorn from their community.
When that problem came, like if we two are somebody's, it won't take long like that. But we are nothing. And then the man he's a rich person. He have money.
Angry, frustrated, and bitter. She does not want her real identity revealed. So in this story, we shall call her Laraba. In the year 2021, Laraba's 16-year-old daughter was preparing to write the Basic Education Certificate Examinations, BECE.
So they went to classes and they didn't come early. So when she came, her father asked, where did she go? And she said that she went to classes. And he said the time is too late, so she don't want her to go again. So the fellow day, she said that she will go. And I say she waits so that if her father agree, I'll talk to him. If I agree, then she can go. So she said that we want her to fail. So when I said that,
Laraba's daughter defied mother's directive and left the house without her knowledge. It rained that night, and daughter lost her way trying to get back home. She was later found by kind people who handed her over to the education circuit supervisor of the area, who they believed will help Laraba's daughter find her way back home. But rather than take the girl to her parents, this circuit supervisor took the girl to a guest house that he owns.
He's our old assemblyman. So when they called that man, he came. And he said, oh, he knows us, so he will pick her to the house. So on the way in coming back, he's half hotel. He said that the time has gone, so he shouldn't be afraid. He also his father, so he will send her there so that he will sleep there. Then if they break, then he will bring her to her parents. And the girl refused, so he encouraged her and talked to her. So he went and showed her a room and opened the room for her, that she should go and sleep there.
Been joined by the Executive Director of Rise Ghana, Awal Mohammed, via Zoom. For more, I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Mohammed. Where are we with seeking justice for Laraba?
So thank you very much for the opportunity to bring Laraba's case to a larger platform where hopefully she can get the needed access to justice that she requires. And let me also emphasize that this is just a tip of the iceberg. There are numerous cases similar to this that have unfortunately not been brought to the limelight, where survivors are grappling to seek justice and they are not getting the necessary support from the society that they hail from. So as we speak now, I think that first of all, the biggest hurdle we had was supporting her to get the medical form and then the medical report to be examined by a professional. And so that has been achieved, and thanks to God and all the stakeholders, the enough project that is supporting us, because through the project that some volunteers detected this case and it was brought to us, and then also the various stakeholders in the district, particularly the Director of Education. I mean, following the case, the fact that we were able to take the case to court, and then the perpetrator was arrested and detained for some time. And you could see the pressure as at that time from the major political parties trying to ensure that the perpetrator doesn't stay behind bars. So, I mean, the mere fact that the perpetrator was arrested and detained over a period of time, and the competent court of jurisdiction granted bail as we still investigate the matter alone, is a very strong signal to communities and other perpetrators that you cannot abuse somebody and go scot-free like that. So as we speak now, the confidence of the girl in particular has been reformed. The community is excited that at least they can be able to seek justice, even though we say that the wheels of justice grind slowly, but there's confidence in the fact that the process has been initiated. And then also the necessary challenge and feedback in terms of the jinx behind people being able to initiate criminal cases when they are abused has been broken to a larger extent. And the girl has been, our team members who are female mentors and counselors have been providing her the needed support that she needs so that she's overcoming this trauma over time. So we've made significant progress. The case has not been finally adjudicated, but we are hopeful that as the case travels, we'll get the necessary support. But we're happy that at least the case has come to the public limelight, and also the necessary state institutions are on the case, and our eyes are closely on it, monitoring, together with our partners, the EU, Oxfam, and WILDAF are all interested in this problem. And we're hoping that it will be brought to finality very soon, and the dignity of our dear sister, for the purpose of this documentary, Laraba, will be restored. And her mother will also be proud that at least she's able to support her daughter, and that we are in a country where there's rule of law, and everybody who's abused can get the necessary justice they require. And let me quickly correct that my name is Awal Ahmed, not Mohammed.
Right. Thanks so much. Awal Ahmed is Executive Director of Rise Ghana, and he says he's hopeful there will be justice for Laraba. Let's take a break on Joy News today. When we return, we'll bring you the very latest coming from the world of business.
Hello, welcome to the business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kujubaka. And look now at our stories. The ARB Apex Bank PLC says rural banks are being encouraged to go into SME banking. Managing Director for the bank, Alex Ewa, also disclosed that the bank has rolled out stringent policies to support rural banks in their quest to digitize the operations. He spoke to Joy Business.
Right. It's early now, but then we all know the importance of financial stability. And we believe that Bank of Ghana, together with the Financial Stability Council, the Minister of Finance, and the government, they will take every thing into consideration, because if the financial sector is unstable, everybody is affected, and for that matter, we'll do everything to ensure that we preserve the stability of our financial sector. Oh yes, from where we play, we should be the major champion of development of the SME sector, because already when you look at the communities within which we operate, we have so many small, medium enterprises there, and which we need to focus on. And we also know that it's part of government policy, and we also try to ensure that we give support to our rural banks to meet the expectations of the small, medium enterprises. And going forward into the future is an area that we're also going to support the rural banks to meet the expectations of these institutions.
Now, the Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Esla Uswekufo, has indicated that government is focused on building the capacity of professionals in the ICT sector to enhance that their work is of globally accepted standards. According to her, government has been working with the National Information Technology Agency to implement standardized regulations for the professionals by 2023. Here's more.
The National Information Technology Agency organized an ICT stakeholders forum to engage partners and technology entrepreneurs on some regulatory measures to safeguard and build their businesses. The forum was under the theme Regulating ICT Businesses and Practitioners in Ghana. Speaking at the stakeholder forum, Mrs. Esla Owusu-Ekufo said government is implementing the regulations to determine the gaps that are derailing the growth of the sector.
The Electronic Transactions Act was passed in 2008, which set up NITA as the regulator of all electronic transactions in this country. 2008 to 2022 is a long time, and it hasn't yet taken up its regulatory role. So we've been working with them to build up their capacity to enable them regulate the ICT sector, both professionals, systems, standard setting, and regulate the sector to ensure that all electronic transactions, all ICT professionals are working according to globally acceptable standards. They intend to start implementing their regulatory functions in full next year, from January 2023. And that's why they're having this stakeholder engagement. And so from 2023, we're going to see a greater enforcement of the laws in this sector while we work to plug all the gaps and the loopholes here.
Head of Corporate Affairs at NITA, Emmanuel James Fiagbenu, added that NITA plans to register ICT professionals in the country as a way to monitor their work and ensure that they come out with credible solutions of globally accepted standards.
NITA's hands is now free to concentrate mainly on regulatory, because that is the core mandate that was given to NITA. So regulatory here means that the entire ICT spectrum, we are looking at anything ICT, practitioners, businesses, we are looking at facilities such as data centers and the rest. So they all have to operate at certain standards. So by regulations, what we're saying is that we are setting standards, and there's going to be regulations, and we're going to be registering ICT professionals. And at a point, this is also meant to standardize them and to make sure that nobody, as Madam said, the Honorable Minister of Communications Digitalization said, nobody just gets up and then put a badge and say that I am a certified ICT practitioner.
Now, Hollard Ghana, a group of insurance companies, has renovated the kindergarten block of AI Walid Comprehensive Basic School. The school before the renovation was in a deplorable condition, making academic work uncomfortable for teachers and students. The renovation project, which took 2 months to be completed, saw the repairs of the damaged windows, toilets, and other facilities of the school.
Hollard Insurance is an insurance company that caters for personal, business and commercial insurance issues. The company, recognizing the deplorable state of the Al Wahid Basic School building, decided to renovate it and make it conducive for teaching and learning. Managing Director of the company, Nashirum Idrisu, said, the company is not only interested in doing business and making profits, but is also interested in impacting lives in the society.
So as a social enterprise, we don't only do business, but we impact lives. Our purpose basically is to enable more people to secure better futures. As a business, we believe that when we do social good, we do well. That's why we say we do well by doing good, you know. So basically, we strive as a social enterprise when we see the communities in which we operate also striving well towards better futures.
Headmaster of the school, Martin Kwadenu, added that the renovation of the school building and the provision of books and learning materials will help improve on the performance of students.
When children learn in a good environment, they learn better. And as they learn better, automatically it will lead to an improvement in their academic performance. Library books have been provided for them. Teaching aids that we have in the teaching and learning has been provided. So we are expecting a very good performance from the children.
The renovation of the school building costs over 200,000 cedis.
And that's it for the business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kojobaka. Darrell Kwao comes your way at 1 p.m. with the marketplace.
Let's do sports now on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Joy Sports has picked intel that the government spent $5 million out of the $8.16 million budgeted for this year's FIFA World Cup. The Ministry of Youth and Sports had announced that they had a budget of $8.16 million for the group stage of the FIFA World Cup. Ghana opened its campaign against Portugal on November 24 before playing South Korea and Uruguay on November 28 and December 2, respectively. The senior national team exited the competition after losing 2-0 against Uruguay, which was the team's last group game of the competition. Now let's hear from CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe. He says that the African countries that participated in this year's FIFA World Cup made the continent proud, and he believes that in the near future, an African country will be winning the FIFA World Cup.
The performance of the 5 teams, and before I go back to Morocco briefly, I think we should also be proud of what Cameroon did in Qatar. Made us very, very proud. And also we should be proud of Tunisia. Their victory against one of the top teams in the world, and Ghana did so well. So what I want to say in conclusion is that I think the connection between the heart and the brain, because we have to look at things objectively and make an appropriate assessment, and of course our infrastructure, and particularly facilities and youth academies, schools, football, I talk about that, but the infrastructure in Africa is not what it is in other parts of the world, and we're making good progress, and I'll talk about that. But also we shouldn't underestimate the importance of finance, of the salaries that players earn, that coaches earn in other parts of the world. And that's why the Super League for us, the African Super League, is a very important intervention, and we are confident over time it will significantly increase the salaries of players in Africa and compete, because I know that even before I became president of CAF, we were competing with the family club, and when I say family club, they say, is it Orlando Pirates or Kaizer Chiefs or the other one, or the Brazilian? All of them are family clubs, including Amazulu. Al Ahly is a family club. Love Al Ahly. I was so excited. Spent a few minutes with my brother, the chairman of. We bumped into each other in Qatar. Very special. I'm very proud of him. Chairman of Al Ahly. We had a wonderful few minutes. He does great work, and I wish Al Ahly all of the best, and Samalek and all of the teams, Wydad and TP Mazembe and all of the teams. But the point I was going to make is that we know how much they pay in the Scandinavian countries for players, and we could compete and pay African players comparatively with what they pay them in many parts of Europe, and in some regards pay even more. So we are absolutely confident that the performance at the FIFA World Cup in Qatar will serve as a significant stimulus, as a significant accelerator for the very good work that has been taking place in increasing the quality, the competitiveness, in fact, the global competitiveness of African football.
This is our wrap-up sports here on JoyNews today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. You can head on to myjoyonline.com and read some more sports stories. And we'll be publishing the document that indicates that government spent $5.07 million out of its budgeted $8.16 million for this year's FIFA World Cup. Up next is World News.
On time for Showbiz. Well, Becky decided to leave me all by myself. We start with musician Kofi Kinata, who has disclosed that the lack of a venue is reason why he's unable to organize this year's Made in Tardy concert. The musician a few days back released a press statement announcing the cancellation of this year's edition. According to him, he can't hold the event in a closed area because of the number of people attending the event.
Made in Tardy got cancelled because there weren't venues. Like we were doing it at the Jubilee Park, and unfortunately it was converted into a market, a temporary market, because the market circle is being, is being built new. So we had to move to the T-Poly Park, TUC Park, the Technical University. And unfortunately, the field is also, I think they are doing some works on the field. So AstroTurf or something, there's construction work going on the field. And we don't have any venue. A program like this, Made in Tardy, you know the kind of people that comes. Yeah. You need to have an open space. If not for anything, like an open space. You can't do it anywhere. You dare not try it at any venue. It will be a disaster. So we don't have venue. We are hoping we get a venue next year and hopefully it comes bigger and better.
So if you were waiting for Kofi Kinata in Tardy, remember it's not happening this time. But an audio play and campaign grounded in Black women's stories of the African continent and diaspora in honor of V-Day's 25th anniversary in Ghana's month of return has been launched. The interdisciplinary audio play and campaign is to unify the vision of ending violence against women across the African continent and African diaspora. Here's the rector of the play, American poet and activist Aja Monet.
Well, we have coordinators here, organizers here in Ghana that are part of V-Day and 1 Billion Rising. So I would say to Ghanaians to learn more about local organizations that are doing work to end violence against women and girls, and to join us in the movement to end violence against women and girls, and not just violence of the body and violence of that is physical and assault, but violence of the mind and the emotional realities. And I would encourage my brothers to learn that there's so much more to who they are than just providers and protectors and domineering dominators, that there's a lot of love left to live, and I hope they get to explore that as they stand with us in this movement. So Voices is an audio play that's here. We're launching for the first time in Ghana. It's an audio play that was commissioned, and I was asked to be a part of Midday, the organization, to create a new play that would replace monologues as the center of the movement work. Monologues is a play that's been pretty historical over the last 25 years of telling the stories of women and women's bodies and the realities of their experiences. And so women all over the world perform that play every year at the same time to raise awareness and raise funds. And so this Voices play is the first time we're launching it today, and it's centering and focused on Black women's stories.
And that's how we end Showbiz. That's how we end the bulletin also this afternoon. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories to enjoy the rest of our programs.